Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Bringing us stories trending around the world is Ayo Mairo Ese. Ayo, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bati, and officially again, great to see you again. I think so. It's very interesting hearing my name in full. I haven't been on the show throughout, but I'll take it because, sitting in for Okpe. Oji will be here with us in a few days. I know we all miss her, and the fact that you've seen Dr. Bati is proof that you will still see Oji very shortly. We begin what's trending today, paying tribute to the designer of the Nigerian flag, Taiwo Akinkunmi, who has died at the age of 87. His son, Akinwumi Samuel, announced his demise via his Facebook page on Wednesday. He wrote, and I quote, "Life is indeed transient. I can say boldly he lived a life with a landmark. Continue to rest on my father, Pa Michael Taiwo Akinkunmi, OFR. Great man has gone." End of quote. Now, Akinkunmi was awarded £100 by the government when his design was selected as the Nigerian flag. He has also been honored with the Order of Federal Republic Award by President Goodluck Jonathan. Pa Akinkunmi, a native of Abeokuta, Ogun State, was born on May 10, 1936, but lived in Ibadan until his demise. Now, earlier, as we opened the show, we had spent considerable time just paying homage and honor and tribute to this great Nigerian, emphasizing the importance of leaving a legacy that's worth remembering. And so we pray that he will rest in peace and also pray for comfort for his family. He was a great man, if there's any comfort, and he's done Nigeria proud. We will never forget Pa Michael Taiwo Akinkunmi. Now let's take a look at the video of ousted Gabonese president in our next story. President Ali Bongo Ondimma, pleading with his friends all over the world to rally support for he and his family following the coup in Gabon.
I'm Ali Bongo Ondimma, President of Gabon, and I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world to tell them to make noise, for the people here have arrested me and my family. My son is somewhere, my wife is in another place, and I'm at the residence. Right now, I'm in the residence, and nothing is happening. I don't know what's going on. So I'm calling you to make noise, really. I'm thanking you. Thank you.
So as you would imagine, this video has been trending, and I think something else has been trending is hashtag make noise. And Dr. Bati had asked that, what kind of noise? And I'll come to you, Dr. Bati, shortly. But before then, let's take some reactions to the video from social media. We have this tweet here from Kate Henshaw saying, "So this Ali Bongo man that is asking people to shout, inserts shouting, wow, wow, wow. His father ruled for 42 years. He, 14 years. Next, I'm sure would have been his son. Africa, my continent, crying emoji. Hand must touch all of them. Are the citizens stones?" Well, good question there, Kate Henshaw. Dr. Bati, I'll come to Danny's message last, but let me come to Dr. Bati for his response and reaction to this.
Well, I'd asked earlier on that what kind of noise does President Bongo expect us to make, and in what language? Is it English noise, French noise, or Portuguese noise, or whatever? But in any case, the point is this: the coup has been condemned generally by the EU, the AU, ECOWAS, Canada, US, and other African leaders and European leaders have condemned the coup, including France. But the point here is that, look, democracy is becoming even more fragile in Africa instead of, a consolidation of democracy. And the argument has been put up that a number of points are responsible for this. One, reckless politicians, reckless politics in Africa. Two, a situation in Africa, as I pointed out, quoting Farid Zakaria's 2003 book, The Future of Freedom, about the spread of illiberal democracy, particularly in Africa, whereby what you have are autocrats organizing elections, perpetuating themselves in office, without the necessary institutions that can provide the checks and balances. In Gabon now, we're told that the chair of the Electoral Commission has gone into hiding. He dare not show his face in public. And the coup makers, they've said, look, the election was flawed, it was also fraudulent, and that election will not be allowed to stand. So African leaders must take their cue from what is going on in Gabon. Here, specifically, the major issue that the coup makers are focusing on is the election, through which Bongo Odimba had given himself, as you would say, perhaps, a third term. He's been in power since 2009. 2009 to 2016. In 2016, the elections were very controversial. He had his way. Then this time around again in 2023, he wants to stay for an additional 7 years. His father spent 41 years there. He has spent 14 years. He wants another 7 years. So this is why we talk about this sit-tight syndrome in Africa. And earlier on, I've given a list of some of the leaders in Africa that have stayed for almost forever. I have not mentioned Isaias Afewerki of Eritrea. He too has been there for about 37 years. These people in a country of that has other people. Look at Gabon. Gabon has 40 ethnic groups, although the population is just about 2.4 million as of the last census. Now then one family will sit on top of that country for 50 years. 2/3 of the population is in poverty. Gabon is oil rich, but the people are not enjoying the benefits. Gabon has manganese. Gabon has one of the richest biodiversities in Africa. Gorillas, big elephants, national parks. The people are not getting anything from it. And that is why we saw the people jubilating on the streets. They are saying that, look, we are tired of dynasty. And it is instructive that the coup makers have not just arrested Bongo Dimba's son, they have even accused the son of treason.
High treason. To
prevent a situation whereby Omar Bongo Sr. will rule for 41 years, then Ali Bongo will be removed, and then the next thing, another Bongo Odimba will take over. They are sending a message about dynastic rule. And I hope that Teodoro Mbasongo in Equatorial Guinea is paying attention, because that's another country where a dynasty has been established over the population in that country. So it's a teachable moment for Africa, what reckless politicians have done, and the people, embracing an unconstitutional takeover of power. We saw people jubilating in Niger too. We have seen them again jubilating in Gabon. African leaders need to wake up. If you give the people good governance, you provide leadership, you allow democracy to work, maybe we will not have this reversal of the democratic order that we've been witnessing across Central Africa and in other parts of West Africa.
So sad, such a rich country, yet the people are impoverished. Talking about that video where people, that's Gabonese, were on the streets rejoicing following the coup, we have that video. Can we just show that video shortly? Just to see what people were saying, the expressions of people just expressing joy and actually hugging or thanking the soldiers, men in uniform, for this coup. But is coup the way out? They're happy. Before I come to you, I want to take us back to this video that's now come up. It's re-emerged following this coup of a time when the Gabonese president, ousted president now, Ali Bongo, was sitting for fireside chat at the Side Business School in Oxford University in October 2018. This video is now trending again because, of course, what's happening in Gabon. He was asked a question about term limits in Africa. So here's the question.
My question relates to the question of democracy within your own country and on our continent more generally. Being at an institution of educational excellence, one of the core theses of democracy is that term limits are one of the key ingredients to ensuring that a democracy thrives. And that is a principle that is seen within the Constitutive Act of the African Union, for example. And yet, for all the progressive reforms that you've introduced economically, some of the, in my view, regressive reforms is to remove term limits for presidents in your country. Do you agree with the thesis? If so, why did you introduce the term limits?
What you say, it all sounds nice. But it doesn't work like that. First thing, I did not remove term limits. I did not. And we don't have term limits. Term limits, I would say, frankly, that sounds sexy, but it ain't working. Because when you go into your second term, you no longer have any authority because people know that you're leaving. And your second term is a completely loss, because it starts problems for your succession, and people within your own party, and they start, fighting, and no one listens to you anymore. And we've discussed that, with various African leaders, and they all conclude to the same. Now, why is it still applied? It's because some African leaders think that, it's going to please you guys here. That's why they do it. But they really don't believe in it, because on the ground, they see the difficulty, And so I don't believe that, term limits, improve, democracy. I don't believe in that, and we've seen that, in many cases in Africa. That's not really. You need a certain time to apply your program. And that's not done, in a country where you have term limits. For instance, once you're elected, if you're completely new, the first 2 years are going to be kind of bumpy for you to apply, and start applying your policy. And then as you start implementing, you have to think of your re-election. And that means that if you have tough measures,
Words on marble by President Ali Bongo in 2018. 5 years, or how many years later? Yeah, 5 years later. We are going back, you'll be visiting that video where he says term limits don't work in Africa. Rufai, what do you think?
For me, what made me cringe is the reflection of how warped his mindset is. And these are the mindsets of African leaders, so a lot of them have very warped mindsets. He's talking about re-election. Why doesn't he say that re-election should be based on the performance of the leader in the first place? Why do you need 2 terms if you can achieve what you said to achieve? Term limits. Are you going to be there forever in the first place? Are you not there at the mercy of the people? So why are you concerned about re-election? Is it a must you must come in? If the people say they don't want you, then you go. But you see, that's what the leaders do. They build all sorts of very terrible mindsets. They don't allow the institutions work. They become strong men as against having strong institutions. So they suppress everybody possible, and they want to perpetuate themselves in power. And that's why you are having all these coups going on. I mean, while Dr. Abati was talking about all the leaders that perpetrated them, another man is close to him, the Sasun Geso.
Yeah. Okay.
Our too has been around for a while. The Yedema family too has been around for. What did he want to do in 14 years? He kept on rigging and putting himself in power and doing all sorts. Now you're saying term limit ain't sexy. Who sent him American English? Anyway, by the way, he's also a musician. He released a track record in the 70s. He tried to do funk and blues. Term limit ain't sexy. My brother, term limit is sexy. It's lovely. It's great. That's why we have a democracy. The greatest power should be with the people, and that's why the people should come out and, like Thomas Sankara, and say, "Abba," with all these leaders. Can you imagine the effrontery to justify it? And he's doing Barry White's voice. Term limit ain't sexy. What nonsense are our leaders spewing? He's talking about second term. What nonsense! And that's why I was happy that everybody fought out a very nefarious third-term agenda in this country. What are we doing with ourselves?
All right, well, talking about this country, thank you. Let's come back home to Nigeria. So we've seen the Gabon incident and it's still developing. We're still watching things unfold. But here in Nigeria, in the southwestern parts of Nigeria, in Ogun State to be exact, and coincidentally, Dr. Batian Rufai, that's your state, the local government chairman, there's a video of the local government chairman in Ogun State who had a meeting with the governor, Dapo Abiodun. Let's have a look at that video.
But when you come in to beg you as the father that you are, as the father of all in this case, Excellency, beg you to encourage you. Excellency, tell me you are that I know back. Tell me you are that I know. And so, on behalf of all of us, I'm taking this apology, and in particular, on behalf of Wale Adedayo, Your Excellency, I would never
2 days ago, when this video emerged, a number of people were wondering what's going on here before the audio was then attached. So the chairman led by the Algon chairman, Babatunde Milola Gazal, stormed the governor's office in Abeokuta to beg for his forgiveness on behalf of one of them, that's the chairman of Ijebu East Local Government, Wale Adedayo, who accused the governor of withholding LG's allocations, stating in a petition dated 28th of August 2023 that Governor Abiodun has not paid a dime to local government accounts as federal allocation in the last 2 years, and that he had denied the local government chairman of the Ecological Fund and other entitlements due to them. Yesterday's paper, Vanguard, had the publication alongside other newspapers. And here is the response from the other local government chairman. Rufai, what do you think?
I mean, if there's a case about funds and all of that, I think the appropriate authority should look into it and the matter should be escalated. We've constantly always advised that the state government should ensure that the local government get their money. It's not today we've been having cases like that. But if Governor Dapo Abiodun feels the matter is not true, then there should be an independent panel of inquiry set up to look at the matter, to bring truth to the matter. I don't believe in all of this going to kneel down in front of a governor. It's not done. It's not done. And yes, some people will say it's cultural, but I don't believe this is right. We shouldn't do things like this. Nobody is God in this country.
All right.
There's an allegation, people reply to an allegation. So if the person made an allegation and other local government chairman do not support him, yeah, they can put it in writing. They can also go visit him and say, oh, we don't support him on it, but up to the extent of kneeling down and begging and prostrating. No, this is an eyesore. This is not the kind of leadership we want in this country.
Okay,
we need a renewal. And please, concerning the allegation, I think the petition, the EFCC in the petition, yes, we should look into it. And if the governor is cleared of it, yes, so be it.
Except that in this case, the governor of Ogun State has made it clear that he does not sit on statutory allocations to local councils in Ogun State. There are 20 local councils in Ogun State. And all the 20 local government chairmen in Ogun State went to the governor, including the chairman of the Ijebu East Local Government, who is a journalist, by the way, Wale Adedayo. You know, he too was there. So those council chairmen that you saw prostrating, he was one of them prostrating. So that is the thing to note about this. Within 24 hours after he petitioned Chief Olusegun Oshoba and petitioned the EFCC and ICPC, he and his colleagues went to go and prostrate, which will amount to he taking back what he said. I think that apart from going to prostrate, it is the onus is also on Wale Adedayo to write back to Chief Oshoba, to the ICPC, to the EFCC, to say that he's no longer calling for any probe. That is when this prostration, you know, will make sense. Because if you allege something, you must prove it. Yeah. Now, if you can't prove it, then you go and prostrate. No, he must withdraw. In fact, you should go and prostrate with EFCC and ICPC too, to show that, he's taking back his words. Finally, the whole issue about local government autonomy, local government finance, is a contradiction within the Constitution itself. Section 7 of the 1999 Constitution, and this is from the 1976 local government reform in Nigeria, recognizes the local government, right, and funding for local government. It was also in 79 Constitution, 89 Constitution, and further entrenched and revalidated in Section 162 sub 6 of the 1999 Constitution, which allows for the creation of a state joint and local council account. So what happens is that in these states, on the basis of that provision, states form what they call the Joint Accounts Allocation Committee. So money goes to the state government purse. This joint committee is supposed to now disburse the money. But where the rub is and why people have been calling for abolition of that committee is because the states take administrative costs. They remove administrative costs before they send money to the local councils. But that's in terms of the constitutional provision. And when the financial intelligence unit tried to make it compulsory for the governors to just allow direct allocation, you recall that state governors threatened to go to court. Because if the constitution allows the existence of that joint council, joint committee, then you cannot just unilaterally vary the provision of the constitution. That is the issue. But with these local councils, chairmen going to prostrate, it means that they don't identify with that petition, and the petitioner has a duty to also write all the parties involved and apologize, as he has done to the governor. That's the way I see it.
All right, thank you very much. We'll take our final story, and this is a disclaimer by Arise News, totally dissociating itself from a deep fake video making the rounds on social media, mimicking the What's Trending segment anchor, Okpe. The digitally altered video, which claims that President Bola Tinubu plans to abolish the naira in favor of the dollar, is the handiwork of mischief makers doubling as fake news peddlers. For authentic Arise News content, we implore the public to visit our verified social media handles, at Arise News channel on YouTube, at Arise TV on X, at Arise News Official on Instagram, and at Arise News on Facebook. Any other platform or handles or channels is fake. Please disregard all.
If it is not the Okpe that we know, any other one is a counterfeit. I know we're in the age of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
They've said artificial intelligence can perform wonders in terms of scientific research, diagnosis, and all that. But the danger, as we have seen, is that your image can be created, words can be put into your mouth, and you can be misrepresented. What did you call it again, Rufai? Deepfake, right?
It's deepfake.
Yeah.
That's deepfake.
So, and that's a big danger. Look at that artificially created Ojinika, who is a counterfeit.
Yes, the likeness. It's just the voice and the, and it was very badly done.
I hope one day they won't create another counterfeit image. Anyway, thank you very much. Ayo Mairo Ese, standing in for Ojinika, Okpe.